I'm so sorry I was late, y'all. I'm old. I'm an elder millennial and I'm Black. So I was gonna be late.
What
I
the hell does
tried.
that
I really
mean?
did try. I
Oh
did
my
want to be
God.
on time for y'all. But I
I love
love Lisa Marie. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so proud of you,
I love
BB.
you with all of my heart and then some of my butt because it's bigger than my heart. I love you so much.
I
I
am a pass man, so I appreciate that. I appreciate that
Excellent,
a lot.
excellent. All right, everybody, it's time I introduce you to this beautiful, incredible human being on the other side of your screen, and that is Bea Arthur.
Hey.
She is an entrepreneur. Okay, hold on. I got these fancy bios I gotta read to you, okay? She is a certified badass, also a licensed mental health counselor, Columbia University trained psychotherapist, award-winning entrepreneur who works with high-performance individuals in high-pressure work environments. Her career took off at the intersection of psychology and technology, and her third company, The Difference, provides an on-demand therapy as a portable benefit. Bea is the first African American female founder in the Y Combinator and was named an entrepreneur on Bet On by Newsweek magazine, as well as one of Bumble's most inspiring New Yorkers. Oh my God! How can
Ah,
we are not worthy. We are
this
not
couple
worthy.
years. I get around. Yeah, I'm dedicated to the streets. I've made
You are, oh God, just
a home.
queen. Just a new move over, Beyonce. Yeah, I love you so much.
I love you. This is so
Okay.
thanks for having me, babe.
Okay, so here's the backstory. Everybody remembers Dr. Julie Gerner.
Woo-hoo.
And yeah, let's all praise to Julie. She is an incredible human as well. She's been on the show 3 times, I want to say now. And she sent me an email and she's like, "You be meet, talk, be friends." And what happened? We talked 2 times and we're best friends now. So this is
Yeah,
where we are. Yeah.
yeah,
This is where we are. I
yeah.
am so happy to have you. Okay, so now I'm gonna shut up and you're gonna tell everybody about yourself, other than like the cool stuff that I already mentioned. But like what? Why mental health? What makes you tick? Why did you start doing this and talking about the brain? And why does this interest you?
Yeah, it's been interesting. So again, like the reason we got so close is because we were both very passionate about this. So I just want to thank you in front of your audience for being such a dedicated advocate to this space. It's true. We need people to be able to talk about it. I think that people have avoided talking about mental health for so long, they don't know how. So conversations like these, especially with respect and consideration, are always appreciated by the field. So appreciate you. I love you.
I love you so
And
much.
that's why we click. You're so funny. But yeah, this is how did I come into honestly, like if you believe in it, this came to me. So I am originally from Houston, like Beyonce, since we're talking about Beyonce.
Oh. Well, there you go.
I
Okay.
just wanted to slip that in. And Megan Thee Stallion and NASA and Lizzo, lots of great things come out of Houston. But anyway, so I came out of Houston and I moved around a lot in college. I did undergrad, and the reason, wait, hold on, let me start over. Is this live? Oh no. Um,
It is live, but also my community absolutely already loves you so that you can do no wrong. By the way,
okay.
here's links to all of her stuff. Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
cannot see any of the comments, so I hope they're being nice to me.
They're all super nice. They're saying so awesome. Oh hell yeah, an icon. I want to know where I can get a certificate for badassness. I'd frame it on my wall. I love you with my whole butt. Wait, that's just quoting me. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
get
don't
you
worry.
positive.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks,
Yeah.
y'all. Thanks, friends. So yeah, so this came to me. I literally, how it is after you graduate. You start if you move to New York, you either start temping, you become a personal trainer, or you get into real estate. So I did
Called
all
the
two.
fuck out.
All that's
Okay.
how it goes. Like that's
Yeah.
what we're you don't know what you're gonna do. So I did all three and landed on real estate. And I'm first generation Ghanaian, which means all immigrants are naturally nosy. So because I was in real estate, I specifically do new development, which means the building hasn't been built yet. So you're literally selling a fantasy, like mock kitchen, mock bedrooms, and blueprints. So this is like a year and a half in advance. It's usually with people's parents'
Hmm.
money. It's a very emotional experience. And I would be like, do you really think you want to have kids with her? Do you really think you want to stay with him? Because I was 21, I didn't give a shit about commission. But because I was doing the low pressure sale and just really getting people to think about this important person, I got lots of referrals. And finally, somebody was looking at me and I was just doing my thing. And he was like, you're really good at getting people to tell you stuff. You should be a therapist. And literally, yeah, I was in New York exactly 1 year. And again, like I was always ambitious, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I crashed and burned a lot and hard. Like I worked for Bloomberg, I was a personal trainer, I worked at Arco, I did everything. I was one of those people who say, "Do you have a second for the environment?" I did it all in New York.
Wow.
Literally in 1 year. And so when I was in real estate and that person, I said, "That's interesting." And my friend Jasmine, who I'm still friends with, by the way, she lives in Miami. She's still an excellent therapist. Check out Jasmine.
Oh, mwah.
Us at the club. That's my old nose. Yeah. Therapy pays the bit. Well, it doesn't really, but that is I used it for my nose job. But anyways, that's Jasmine. And Jasmine was also in real estate at the time, and she was at Columbia. And so for the psychology program, and it was the only school I applied to. I shadowed a class with her. I decided that was for me. I got in, and that was that. So and ever since then, it's been off to the races. So yeah, definitely what I was meant to do.
Are you okay? So this is a stupid question because the link literally is Bea Arthur therapy. But do you still practice therapy, or are you focusing on like helping people get access to it? Because the company you founded is a little bit different than like literally giving people therapy. So
Yeah.
tell me about
So
that.
I am still a licensed mental health counselor, but I don't practice law. I miss my clients. It sucks too, because I started this for, loving that connection between counselor and client. And that's like literally like 5% of what I do now. Now is the rest like I can't even tell y'all. But I do still get requests from interesting clients, right? I call it being in the chair. I learned the most from being in the chair. It's what makes me so dedicated to improving this experience. And that's what we're going to talk about later. Y'all understand when we talk about the very crowded landscape and ecosystem of online therapy options. I am not a hater. I'll never hate on anybody trying to help people, right? But there are some misguided attempts of tech enabled products that I think don't serve anybody realistically, not real humans anyway, with real problems that
Mm-hmm.
anyways, again, I'm not a hater. I'm just trying to dance around it. But yeah, I do still have like people reach out to me. Like if it's somebody that I've worked with before, like somebody like lately I've been getting like super high profile people, then sometimes,
Ooh.
but it keeps me on my toes. It keeps me humble. It keeps me respectful of the work. So, but mostly, yeah, I like to say I'm a therapy madam.
Ooh. Wait, I love
But
that.
instead of selling pussy, I'm selling peace.
Oh
So
my god. All of you. God, you're perfect. Okay, yeah. All right. Okay, so that's what you did, and then I guess let's lead in, like, go right there. Let's talk about your company. Like,
yeah,
what are you doing now?
so that was how I got into the mental health field and helping professions. How I got into psychology technology, because I mean, not to, do toot my own horn, but I am a pioneer in the e-therapy space. So my last company was one of the first to move therapy online with video. It was originally called Pretty Padded Room. It was a nice place to go crazy. I had all female therapists. It was all purple. All my therapists had different superpowers, like break up with your boyfriend, hey, my job, that kind of stuff. And yeah, but when I
Whoa.
yeah, and I called it that because this was 2011. I was a domestic violence counselor at the time. I love that work. I always say if it paid me more, I would have done that work for the rest of my life. So this is something y'all need to understand about therapists. It's like one of those on in a movie. It's one of those jobs that looks like it makes a lot of money, like architects, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
or writers, right? You do not make no money. I was a
Writers
domestic.
make money. I'm sorry. I need a
It's a
second for
joke,
that
right?
one.
It's
As a
laughable.
writer, I take personal offense to that.
Actual joke.
Yeah.
But they're gonna reboot Sex in the City and tell me she can afford all those shoes with her blog. Oh my
Oh,
god.
yeah. She wasn't like an influencer and had like 40 channels. She
No,
literally
none of that.
wrote one column weekly
Bull.
for a local newspaper and apparently could afford Manolo Blahnik. I was like, lady, I wrote a book and I made like $200 total. What are you
I owe
smoking?
them money on my book, right? Like
Right.
it was all
Right?
lies. It was all
It's
lies.
all lies.
So yeah, so same thing with therapists. So for reference, I made $38,000 a year.
Wow.
40 clients doing their sessions, doing their, advocacy work, their family court stuff, and notes, all of that stuff. And I went to Columbia, so my degree cost twice as much as that.
Right.
So even so I was gonna
Small
start.
side note, small side note. So when I want to make this like super, super clear to everybody, when we talk about let's have therapy be affordable, we also need to be on the same level talking about let's make sure we pay therapists like a good wage. Yeah.
It's charity work.
Yeah.
Now, that said, I don't think it should be on the responsibility of the clients, right? Because
Yes.
clients have been told that it's like insurance, I should get a $20 copay. But, as you know, we have a for-profit healthcare system, not a preventative healthcare system, and they hire very aggressive people to not pay us, right? Like they would rather you see a psychiatrist 4 times a year for drugs than to see me 20 times a year to talk it out,
Yep.
right? So
Yep.
most therapists, when you get in private practice, what am I going to do? Chase a $60 invoice for 3 months, or just charge a rich person $300 an hour?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's kind of one of those things. And so that was kind of like my breaking point. I was like, damn, I love this work, but I am going to starve.
Yeah.
And so I took my real estate experience, being in sales, always been a hustler, and what I knew, in my social work agency, domestic violence, and that's when I built Pretty Padded Room on nights and weekends, and didn't know what I was doing. I was
Wow.
just in New York, and that's how it started. And then when we launched, I was still working full time at the Center for Women and Families. And one of my mentors was Cindy Gallup. If you don't know Cindy Gallup, she's like a big time advertising woman. She has a company called Make Love Not Porn. She has a company called IfWeRanTheWorld.com. She's just like out there. So of course she was my first mentor in New York. Um, and she posted it on her Facebook. This is when Facebook was cool, y'all. Everybody was there. It was the place to be. Everything happened there. This is like 2011, so it was still popping. And yeah, we had press and product market fit from day one. And then I quit my job, my full-time job, to do Pretty Paddle full time 6 months after that. And I did it for 5 years with that company. We were on Shark Tank, NPR, MTV, BuzzFeed, and I was the first African American female founder accepted into Y Combinator with that company. And we did our thing. But like I said, I was a domestic violence counselor with no technical experience, no MBA, no technical co-founder, which means we had a lot of technical debt, like literally
Yeah.
till the day we died. The cancel appointment button didn't work in certain browsers, just like because I,
Oh,
yeah, it
Beebs.
was
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
painful. But like again, like I was kind of before my time. This was like 2011 to 2016.
Yeah.
2015, Talkspace kind of came out of nowhere and like ate my lunch. They raised like $8 million at the time,
Yep.
like outraised and outpaced us, and I just couldn't catch up. So it took me a lot to die, because like 2015, like we ran out of investor funding. We never raised that much. This was like, again, I was one of the first Black women in Y Combinator, one of like the only women in tech at the time. Like this is
No,
pre BL.
2015 is a wild time.
It
I
was a
started,
wild
it was a
time.
wild time.
Nobody had HR. So
Yeah.
there was a lot of, and I'm cute. So these niggas was, I mean, they were white niggas, but thankfully, let's say N words, because they're nerds. Silicon Valley, bro. Like, oh my God, it's toxic as fuck. But, anyways, I digress.
Yeah, just a little bit, but it's perfect. It's still very, very, very much in line. Yeah, I started this show in 2017 and it felt like pioneering things. And where things have gotten in 4 years is like
Honestly, amazing.
light years. Yeah.
Honest.
Yeah.
Sometimes people missing it. There's some, well-intentioned misses, but like, bro, like it was bad for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
But
so
you
how
didn't stop. You didn't sit down and go like, okay, I guess I'm doing something completely different now. Like you were like, I'm gonna get people access to therapy if it's the last thing I do.
I wish it was another way. I wish I had another dream in my heart. I cannot rest until people can get easy access, universal access to high quality therapy. I can't relax. And this is what I'm telling you. Like, I'm not a competitive person. Like, I'm really happy with the way I am. I don't really need that much else. But if Talkspace was doing what they needed to do with their user experience, I would need to build the difference. If BetterHelp was doing what they needed
Shots are fired. It's okay.
pop,
It's
pop,
okay.
pop. If
Yeah.
Robot was doing what they needed to do, I wouldn't be.
Wobot is like my baby. But listen. I'm not taking away your tea. Your tea is correct and accurate. Somebody has to do what nobody else is doing, and you are doing that. But so tell us, okay, wait, I don't know how much you can tell us about what you're actually doing now.
I can't.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
are really close to finally doing it. So the difference came about because, as I said, my company died and I died. It was a super painful loss. Like school was always easy, boys was always easy, but like business was really hard for me. Being in the Valley was really hard for me. It was the longest job I'd ever had. Like I
It's
said,
your baby. You made it.
literally a
Yeah.
part of every
Yeah.
single word. It was so painful. And but the calls kept coming, right? The good thing, once you get out of being a founder, like people want to talk to you, and everybody's always looking for a therapist. And luckily, the hit show Billions had just come out. Are you familiar with Billions?
I am familiar with Bill. I mean, I didn't like watch it religiously, but like, yes, I know Billions. Okay. All right.
The premise is there's this like Bernie Madoff type who's
Okay.
like below,
Right.
doing white collar crimes, just as one does. But he kind of messes up and buys this huge house, which is actually owned by my friend Michael Lowe. And it gets on the radar of Paul Giamatti. And Paul Giamatti, it's like this cat and mouse game. He's in the government. He's trying to like get this guy on white collar crime.
Right, right,
And it
right.
just so happens that this crazy ass hedge fund has what they call a performance coach. And it's an on-site therapist whose name is Wendy Rhodes. Her name is Wendy.
Right.
And she's a therapist. And so guess who she's married to? Paul Giamatti's character. So counter client confidentiality. She knows all the crazy crimes and shit they're up to, but her husband can't ask her. So it's so close, but so far. Anyways, so that's
Oh my God. Wild. Okay.
so
Okay. Okay.
obviously it took the world by storm, and
Right.
everybody wanted their own Wendy. So I started saying, since I had the startup of the YC network, I started saying I was doing co-founder coaching, which was basically just like couples counseling with co-founders. But startups aren't even really liquid like that. So then I started doing other like literally high performance people. So I worked with physicians, offices, and legal firms, and a lot of ad agencies. And I worked with a really big one downtown called Droga5. And literally, like as soon as they posted my link, they had my own little office up on the floor. I just started telling people I was Chocolate Wendy. This is a very easy sell when you're trying to get people to the diversity mental health area. They're like, oh, high performance, we have that. So I had my own little office. And literally from the time they put out my link, like I was booked for months. And these are people with means. These
Yeah.
are people with health insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And literally they'd come in my office. They were like, damn, I've been looking for a therapist for 4 months. Or like, I hate my therapist, but like
Oh.
and I don't want to start over again. And I was like, that was my light bulb moment. I was like, it's not tech, it's access. The main problem still hasn't been solved. So in 2017, this is when Alexa, I'm gonna have to whisper because I got one. But this is when Alexa was popping. It was like the number one gift. And I was like, you know what? I was the first to do therapy with video. I want to be the first to do therapy with voice. So that's when I came up with the concept of the difference. You know, I figured people want to talk to a therapist, people talk to Alexa. It was this like perfect Venn diagram of opportunity. Put it out into the universe. We got connected with Amazon in March of 2018. That was lit. In October 2018, we launched the pilot. That was super lit. But then in 2019, all those stories about surveillance tech and like
Yeah.
privacy
Yeah.
started coming
Same
out.
thing happened with Wobot. Wobot partnered, speaking of Wobot, they partnered with Facebook, and then people are like, I'm not telling Facebook about things that I need to. Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
For the record, the difference will never advertise on Facebook or Instagram. We don't record our sessions, none of that. I have no interest in selling your data, listening to any of your problems, none of that. Like it exists for you to get it out of your body and get on with your day. But yeah, that's the thing. So honestly, I'm really, even though it's been a longer journey, you get super resentful fundraising, and like I've been able to close like Amazon and MetLife, but like dealing with investors, you just don't see
Yeah.
it or don't take you seriously. But honestly, the people that we have now, and like we're in a really good place. But anyways, so I'll finish really quick. I promise there's a happy ending to this story.
No, you don't. This is your freaking interview. You get to talk the whole time. If I'm talking too much, I'm doing it wrong. So go ahead. Yes.
Thanks. So we started working with Amazon. That was great. And for the record, I had a really good experience with Amazon. Alexa was always just meant to be our receptionist. She was not ever going to be listening to the sessions. It would just route you to the difference. It was clearly just a volume play. But luckily, I was about to move to Seattle because Amazon is in Seattle. They do Techstars Alexa in Seattle. And luckily, Techstars has a general application, and MetLife hit me up because they were doing 2018 was also the year that mental health related disability claims surpassed musculoskeletal disability claims.
I believe it.
So
some of them were mine.
Like, yeah. And MetLife doesn't do like retail healthcare; they do like general like disability benefits.
Yep.
And so the employers were like, "What the fuck? We pay for these expensive ass health insurance. We pay for this expensive ass EAPs. Why can't people get therapy?" And it's for the reasons I told you.
Yeah.
Most of us don't take health insurance.
Yeah.
So we designed the difference. I moved to North Carolina instead. I only had 1.5 racist incidents there, and we built out the difference.
We're gonna circle back to that privately because 1.5 is a very specific number of racist incidents.
Sure, I don't want to be those people who's like play the racist, but like it could have been because
it was a little racist. It was a little racist. Okay.
It was a little. It was a racial misunderstanding.
Fudge, man. Okay. All right, fast forward to the next topic.
Had a great summer, learned a whole lot, and we built out the first voluntary benefit for therapy, which means that like in the same way you opt into dental benefits, you can opt into mental benefits.
Yes. Yes.
Bi-weekly deduction was going to be $23 every 2 weeks. That was really great. But again, then 2020 happened and a lot of people lost their benefit. So we had
Yeah.
to pause the thing with MetLife. But where we finally ended is what's called a portable benefit, which is traditional benefits for people without traditional employment. So, for
Mhm.
example, I could have sold to all of Uber, but people who drive for Uber would never get to use the difference. So yeah, so now where we've landed is like on-demand therapy for the gig economy and for the independent workforce. So right now we're starting with co-working spaces or the Wing, which is a co-working space here in New York. They're official
Yeah.
partner.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're hoping to connect with partner with WeWork and Chief and Riveter. And so yeah, just any community. This way any community can have its own mental health agency. So yeah, that's the difference.
Oh my God, gorgeous. Okay, so okay. So do you feel like I don't know if investors are listening, if they're sharks in the water, but like, do you
We just
feel
closed
like
$1 million last week. So yeah.
repeat that because I talked over you for a second.
So we closed $1 million last week, and we're raising one more million hopefully by the end of. Yeah, it's been a journey, girl. Like I mean, I feel like Frodo and Lord of the Rings. Like every year, like I've been building this since 2018. We're Amazon, then MetLife, then Corona. But like I said, I'm really glad that I didn't give up. Because where it is now is like, I mean, it's like making the sauce.
Yeah, yeah. Oh God, I'm so
Yeah.
proud of you. I'm so like honored to know you as you're going on this journey. I will be. I'm probably not like. I'm probably not your Samwise, but I'm at least a Pippin. Like at least, you know what I mean? Like I'm there.
You're
I'm.
hot ass
I'll be.
Orlando Bloom's character.
Ooh, there you go. Hell
Yeah.
yeah. All right, I'll be an elf. I could see really far. I could see into the future. I get it. Yeah.
Glasses.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
You're wearing glasses.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so
Let's be historically accurate.
I'll take them off for you, baby. No problem.
You're so beautiful. Put your glasses back on.
I
Crazy.
love my glasses. I love my glasses. I didn't know if you were like, well, elves can't see that far. I don't know if that's your beef. But anywho. Okay, so you're doing this. You are taking the world by storm. Do you feel like you are closer to helping people get access? Like this is it. You are at the precipice of like people are going to get access to therapy now.
Yes. Yes. And I felt like this in 2019. It's been really hard. It's like up until now, we've raised like 600,000 altogether, but that was
Mhm.
like from like late 2017 to 2019. Didn't raise a dime all Corona until the very end of the year. But and I wanted to give up so many times, but something would always show up. And like I'm saying, like
Like at
because
the
of
last minute, something would pull through.
money, partnership. I also consult a lot. So that's another thing that I think has helped me as far as like now that we're ready to enter the market. The
Yeah.
blessing of not getting funding is you have to get money the old fashioned way through customers. Right. Like,
Yeah.
so I've consulted with Maybelline, Sonos, like people who will now even before Corona, people are starting to take mental health more seriously.
Yeah.
So just because of my experience. And also I'm kind of like, I like to think of myself as like, the supreme of the scene. I've been around. So like a lot of the new players would come by and they would like, ask me for advice or, tell me, the different things. So I've seen what's worked and what's hasn't
Yes.
worked.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And I'm also just not competitive. For me, it's more about collaboration than competition. So I've always been committed to delivering it exactly my way.
I could tell that
Um,
about you from like half a second of talking to you, that you are about collaboration and not competition.
oh yeah, I ain't no fun if the homies can't have none. Like I want everybody. You know that song by our friend Beyonce. She goes, "I wake up feeling this good." Wait, oh, she goes, and you can say what you want. I'm the shit.
Yeah.
I'm the shit. I'm the shit. Da da da. And then she goes, I want everyone to feel like this tonight. It's from the Flawless remix. And that's
Yes.
how I feel. Like some days, even though it's been super hard, like I have had suicidal ideation my entire time. The other week, I cried so hard my eyes hurt after like a deal that I've wanted for like over a year. So I will not
Oh.
lie about that. It's okay. It's like, you take the bitter with the sweet.
Yeah.
But I just like, I've worked with a lot of people. I know so many people don't have that kind of alignment. You know what I mean? And in 2019, I remember when I was in MetLife in North Carolina, it was not bad. Like it's a beautiful like part of the country. Like the greenery is gorgeous, and I spent a lot of time in nature. And I just felt like I was changing. And also working with MetLife, I had this like, little girl, big city moment. When I first moved to New York, like I said, I temped. And I used to temp all around Midtown. And I had a meeting with the head of HR, like the chief human resources officer at MetLife, like on the 56th floor. You need like 2 and 3 elevators and a pat down to get there. And it was me and my mentor at MetLife, Jessica. Shout out to Jessica. She's a real one for real. And the chief human resource officer, who was also a woman. And it was like 3 executive bosses at the top of this. I remember I used to like have like $7 to my name and like going to those like hot market cases. And I was like, damn, bitch, you made it. Like just talking your shit, you know? And I just felt like I saw the distribution capacity. I've always been good at getting media and stuff. I've always been good at making partnerships, but I never really saw myself as like a businesswoman. Like, you know what I mean? Like you can
Mm-hmm.
tell I'm a hustler, I'm an entrepreneur, but I haven't really been a CEO. You know what I mean? Like in a very business, like I have to learn business backwards. So now a lot of things have fallen into place. All those contracts that I worked with Nike and New York Times. Now they want to use the difference. You know, being a mental health counselor during a mental health crisis was really tough, but people needed other options. People really like the difference. So yeah, soon come. So I mean, I can't wait. The hardest part has been like people always asking for therapist recommendations. And I take it
Yes.
seriously. If therapy doesn't work, if the therapist doesn't work for you, they can have, you know, your whole chart read out. And if you're not, don't like and trust them, it's not going to connect. And it's not going to convert. So I really take the time. I'm kind of like a therapist. I always say a therapy madam, but a therapy concierge. Like I really like I won't just connect you with any therapist. And it always kills me, right? Because I wish you could just point it to the difference because
Yes.
it's also customizable. So I can't wait. My goal, like what makes me keep going, is that it's gonna because I work every day, unfortunately, right now. So I imagine like on the weekend, I'm at brunch or something, and somebody's like, "Oh, Bea, talk to the best therapist on the difference," rather than me having to like go through all my network. And yeah, that will give me peace. Yeah, that's like I can't wait.
I can't wait for that for you. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there. I don't know how, but I will be there. I will be there helping make that happen. Okay, all right. So we're finally gonna get to here we are. Here we are in this landscape of you're creating a space where people can access therapy however the hell they want to be able to access it, right? And you're creating a space where yeah, so people have access to this. Now, there is a lot we touched upon, like Wobot's doing something, BetterHelp's doing something, Headspace just joined with Ginger and they're trying to morph into something. Like there is a lot going on in this digital space. As a person who is just like, I just want a fucking therapist. Like,
Yeah.
why is it that I connected to BetterHelp and it took me like 4 tries to get to the therapist that works for me? Like, why is it that I am, I got into Talkspace and I can't freaking afford Talkspace? Like,
It kills me.
let's talk
It's
about it.
frustrating. So here's the truth. If you are a venture-backed company, regardless of your industry, the investors are betting that you can have a 30 to 50x return in 5 to 7 years, 10 at the latest, right? So they need to see a huge growth pattern, like something like Uber. So Uber was the first marketplace to really show the scale, like
Mm-hmm.
how it could be a household name. Unfortunately, Uber is just a regular commodity marketplace. You don't care who picks you up most of the time.
Yeah.
With something like therapy, it's what's called a specialized marketplace, which it
Mm-hmm.
means it can't just be anybody, right? Just
Right.
whatever. So it's a really hard market to scale. Also, the whole point of our industry is churn. We want our clients to feel better and leave, right? So we don't
Yep.
have the same retention for scale as other marketplaces.
Yep.
And also because of the insurance industry, therapists are real have a really high hourly, the good therapists, right?
Yeah.
So all of those things mean it's really hard to stay sustainably profitable. So what we're doing, the reason nobody else is doing what the difference is doing, which if I didn't mention, we connect you with a therapist in 30 minutes or less. You like literally like ping us, you text to, we have a hotline 262 pep talk for now. You would text it and we go, okay, it's a 20-minute wait. We'll call you on your phone, leave a message if you, so your therapist knows what you want to talk about before they call you back. The only thing that's comparable to that user experience is the suicide hotline.
Yeah.
And so I'm really dedicated to having a non-clinical, non-crisis way to connect with a professional, a healthcare
Yeah.
professional,
Yeah.
to make it an everyday experience rather than this extravagant
Right.
luxury.
Right. 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 Right.
And the reason that's hard to do is for all the reasons that I mentioned. And so the way people have tried to scale the concept of therapy is by productizing it. So that
Mm-hmm.
means like what Talkspace does. Okay, your first touch is going to be a bot. If I'm having, can you imagine how shitty and lonely I'd feel if
Yeah.
like the only person I could talk to on a tough day is a bot? So the cheapest way to do it is you're going to get 2 texts a day. They have to like productize it so it doesn't cost so much, but to
Yeah.
have the therapist on call. Same thing with BetterHelp. Okay, we'll write it. And then their model is, and I'm friends with Alon, the CEO of BetterHelp. We all came up together. So I'm friends with Oren and Ronnie too. But yeah, so that's kind of how they've done it. Like, okay, now it's like but it's still expensive, like 300, 400 a month.
Yeah.
then you have people like Wobot who are like, let's just make a CBT bot.
Right.
But again, like no shade or whatever, but like this is like the last human experience. Like
Yeah.
this is the most human experience. We could do better than, replacing it with a robot. And to be fair, I actually started out the difference that way. The difference with the difference, our original tagline was that we use artificial intelligence to develop emotional intelligence. And I did,
Ooh.
yeah, I'm really good
Hmm.
at that. So, so we did MIT Brain Health. They, the Navy actually tried something like this in the 80s called ELIZA.
Hmm.
So that's actually how we got to Alexa, like just using the voice component. But it would flash questions at you, like, if this were just happening to somebody else, how would you describe it? And we would detect emotion and voice.
Hmm.
But it was kind of like, so what? Now what? Okay, great. Now I have anxiety. I don't feel better. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's kind of like
Right.
regular therapy. What does a diagnosis be? Okay, I have ADHD now. So
Now
what
what do
now?
I do
What?
with it? Right. How do I
I can
live
just
with
sleep at
this?
night. Yes, exactly. And so some things have been like, okay, doing a diagnosis, okay, and only like people like Lyra Health and Modern Health, they're only can be afforded by big companies like
Yeah.
Google and Facebook and stuff. So for everybody else, I just feel like 90% of the total addressable market, especially now that the stigma is way down than it was before and demand is up, there's not a way to fairly compensate therapists while also delivering same day care, which is what people want.
Yeah. Okay. That's effed. Okay. All right. So, well, yeah, and that's
Okay,
the
I mean,
other
I think some
problem.
things are working. Like some people are doing like journaling or group stuff. Because don't
Yeah.
forget, like the most expensive part of this is the therapist. So they
Is the
have to like
one-on-one therapy session. Right. So if you
exactly.
get like group therapy session, group coaching sessions, they're cheaper. But like
Yeah.
that is, if I am suicidal, I do not need to be sitting in a group and traumatizing other people while I talk about my suicidality.
Right. And also, like, to be honest, like we invest a lot in the development of our therapists. Like some people, there's a lot of bad therapists out there. Let's just say it. We've all experienced, there's bad coaches out there too.
Yeah. There's bad
Literally, like,
everything. Yeah.
yeah, of course. So we curate really heavily on the supply side. I've had bad therapists, so to make sure no matter who you talk to, you have a good experience. But also, like, people are mostly focusing on mental health. There's a big difference between mental health and mental illness, right? If I
Yep.
have like, a diagnosable borderline personality disorder or bipolar episode and I'm manic, you telling me to do a breathing exercise or to fucking, I've seen this, eating
Yeah.
blueberries cures depression. Let me track my food so I feel, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. Like that, it's
Don't
useful
get me started. No, I
for
mean,
mental
but the way
health.
I'm dealing with this, I'm taking off my glasses because shit just got real. The way I'm dealing with this is that people are okay with talking about mental health, but they are not okay talking about mental illness. So once you bring in that mental illness component into it, all of a sudden you're back to the same stigma and you're back to the same
Right.
issues with investors, with people wanting to put their money behind it. Like mental
Well,
illness is not a stable thing. Mental health, everybody can get
right,
behind. Mental
right.
illness is not something that people are ready to put their money behind.
Yeah, and it just makes people uncomfortable. And
Yep.
and also people, funnily enough, most of the money that we've gotten from like private family has been from like family offices, right? Really wealthy people have some like, some drama in their histories. And they're like, oh yeah, we had an issue with our aunt. I
Uh
support
huh.
this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my has an issue like that. Yeah, we would love to support it and stuff like that. And everybody has something like that. And so I think it first comes with having, emotional literacy. Like
Yeah.
everybody is being, I think it's a crime that we don't teach self-care in schools, mood management,
We're
peer, because
getting there. They're getting there, but not
some
fast
schools,
enough.
but for
Yeah.
the most part, not. I mean, most American schools don't
Most
have a
American, no, I think it's like New York City
health.
and Massachusetts right now. I think that's it. Yeah.
But if anybody's interested in it, check out JED Foundation. Friends with John McPhee, he's the executive director. If y'all know JED Foundation, they have done a lot of data, like actual tested data about high school suicide prevention. To the point, like specifically, they go in and they look at a school and they'll even make sure that like the coat racks can't support like let's say over like 80 pounds, stuff like that. Like they really invest and do like true work and teach preventative stuff. So
I
they're
love
really
Jet
great.
Foundation. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Shout out to JED Foundation for sure. So especially if you're looking for youth resources. But yeah, other than that, I just think that in general, like there should be emotional literacy. People do not know how to talk about mental health. People don't know
No.
the difference between clinical depression and circumstantial depression.
Yep.
So a lot of the recommendations that are out there now, it's just safe. I hate it when people are like, oh, it's awareness. What the fuck is awareness gonna do? You know what I mean? Like what is a mental health day gonna do if I'm in a depressive episode for the, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
and I really empathize with that because I have like I'm very open about my diagnoses. The reason I became a therapist is because my family is again from Ghana, and most Black families, most immigrant families are like pray about it and don't tell nobody. And I was really rowdy growing up. Like I said, I'm like a vessel. I had a lot of energy coming through, and my parents
Same, same. but like
Yeah,
I had the Russian version of that where like
exactly.
Russians are like, well, you just suck it up and then you drink it out and you're fine. And I was like, no, I like all of my emotions are on my sleeves and my whole family's like, I don't know what to do with you.
Literally just kind of like, like, and I think, in Russia, I don't know if it's like Ghana, but like children behave. They do what they're told. There is no talking about it's like a unit, right? You just do what you're told and like you suffer in silence, or you drink it out or you work it out. And so my family literally did not know what to do with me. Like I was like, I got a job when I was 15, so I paid for my own car. Like they wouldn't see me all week, and then I would, and I remember now because I did my practicum when I was at Columbia at a high school, like with kids with real stuff, like real city kids, and I was like, damn, like I understood them so much. And I was like, I wish somebody just knew how to talk to me. You know what I mean? Because I was
Yeah.
always a good student. I always cared about like being liked and stuff, but
Same.
people did not know what to do with my energy, and neither did I.
Yes. Yeah, and neither did and I didn't blame because I would go to other kids and other kids would be like I would be like I'm suicidal because my stepmom just, told me that I'm a terrible person because this and this. And I grew up in a really really privileged town in New Jersey, Westfield. And so kids would look at me, like I don't know
Mm,
what to do with you. We have a maid who like comes and cleans. So my mom is never going to yell at me for not cleaning my room. I don't know
mm.
what to tell you. And I just felt lonelier and more isolated and worse and worse and worse and worse.
Yes, nobody. It's like I wish we had more empathy for kids. I don't like to call them kids. I like to call them future adults, like, and it's such a short time, right? And it's their first time doing it. Why do we expect them to know all this stuff? Why can't we guide them? Like why can't, like if somebody would have just told me like, okay, I developed really early, obviously, right? Okay, you're going through your thought shit. Here's how to like respect yourself. Don't send nudes, you're a minor. Just why couldn't somebody just take me seriously? And
Yeah.
literally, when I got kicked out of my first high school,
So
like I said,
did
I was
I.
time.
We have more to
Somebody
bond
would have just
about than we
talked to
know.
us. If
Yeah.
somebody would have just talked to us, our parents could have avoided a lot of pain, right?
Yeah.
And that was the thing. My parents did, because like I was on a magnet scholarship to my high school,
Okay.
and I was going to a not great school, and so I had like my all the academic excellence, but all my conduct was like S.P.U. with a star by it, and they were like, we're gonna kick her out. I even like applied because it was Texas. I applied to be a cheerleader, but it's considered a privilege, and so at least 4 of your 8 teachers have to say you deserve the privilege, and 0 of them, they hated me just because I never respected rules for no reason. You couldn't tell me shit. Like I loved attention, good or bad, and I was making good grades, so you just couldn't tell me shit. And like they were like,
This
oh,
is
listen.
literally me, but in Russia. Like I would get kicked out of classrooms because like teachers would talk like very rudely to kids and I would stand up and be like don't talk to her like that and then I would get kicked out of class and
Yes.
the principal of the school was my aunt and so I would go they'd be like go to your aunt and they send me onto her carpet and she'd look at me and she'd be like you're just a disappointment and I'd be like well I'm sorry to tell you that because I still believe firmly in what I did and I would have stood up and told that teacher to fuck off again. Yeah. Yeah.
See, and like this is reasonable, right? Like
Yeah.
we say this in therapy, like meet people where they are, right? Like
Yeah.
if you don't understand why you feel so strongly and nobody else does, like let's talk about it. Like there's so many things that didn't need to be medicated, didn't need to be pathologized. They sent me to said if I didn't get on antidepressants they were going to kick me out. They gave me, the nurse, by the way, not a psychiatrist, the nurse gave me a diagnosis of ADD, ODD, and bipolar manic. It was called manic depressive back then. And my mom, my parents have personal care homes in Houston, so she actually works with people with like mental diagnoses. She was like, "You're not manic depressive. You're, first of all, can't be diagnosed until you're 18. Two, you haven't had a manic episode." And they just wanted to dope me up because the teachers could not handle me. And they said if I didn't get on Zoloft, or if I didn't get on antidepressants, because what the nurse's recommendation, not a doctor, then I would have to leave the school. And so my parents did against their wishes. And guess what? Like I got rowdy again and I got kicked out anyway. So to this day, I have a bias against meditation because I'm like, damn, they kept telling me they were pathologizing every little thing. Even ODD, it stands for oppositional defiant disorder. So what? Every kid who challenges authority is mentally ill? That's what you're saying? And also, we're growing up. I'm 38, so when we were coming up, literally, I can remember from 5th grade, everybody was on Ritalin, and then everybody was on Adderall. And guess what? When we got to Manhattan, everybody was on fucking cocaine, and now Vyvanse, right? They just like, and these are kids with normal, natural emotions so natural it would be weird if they, again, we're just stumbling through life. These are babies, and you want to dumb it down, you want to numb it down, you want to deny them their experience. And it's just, and again, I'm very pro drugs, I'm a huge pothead, but I'm also really into psychotropic medication. There's no shame if you need Prozac or Xanax or any of that stuff. But you should also know how to manage your feelings, how to like have control over your emotions. And I think it's a crime that we don't teach that in schools.
Well, but that's exactly it, right? Like if we did teach that in schools, then I strongly believe that we could get to the case of like, okay, you actually don't need medication, but you
Yeah.
really do need medication. Like you are clearly you are trying really hard, right? Like a kid like me with ADD, I was trying so hard to not interrupt my teacher, to get it, to be able to
Yeah.
focus on what was being told to me. And I was just crying because it wasn't good enough. Like, I couldn't take it in. And like that kid, yes, that kid should be on ADHD medication. The
Right.
kid who's just, talking out of turn in
Right.
class and like has an attitude or is talking back to the teacher because the teacher's being a shithead, that is not the kid you need on medication. But
Yeah.
like if we had enough emotional awareness, if we taught that, since we were babies, then teachers would know what to do with us. And then they would be able to discern, hey, this kid needs this kid
100%.
doesn't. Yes.
Because that's the thing. There's an institutional betrayal that happens to children when we tell them that how they feel naturally is wrong, and
Yes.
we punish them for it. I got sent to lunch detention. I developed, like I said early, the body dysmorphia I developed in Texas from like again, I'm from
Yeah.
fucking Houston. Like
Yeah, yeah,
all
yeah.
the white girls have like, spaghetti straps and
Right.
squirts. They were called squirts at the time. And but when I would wear them because I was more developed, I would get dress code violations, which is crazy because the adults have a
Oh
problem
my
with my
God.
body. Just because you
That's
have a problem with
so
my
messed up. That's
every
so
single
messed up.
I had lunch detention my whole 8th grade year. I became best friends. I was just like you. I got sent to the principal's office so often. I became close with them. They understood me, so I kind of had protection at the schools. But anyways, like I mentioned it just because it's like I think that and again, I did my practicum at a high school in New York, and I got to see kids with like actual behavioral disorders, right? And they do put them in like they give them group counseling. I went to a great school where if you had ADD, special ed doesn't mean the same as in Texas. In Texas,
Hmm.
it means mentally delayed. Here, it means just like they need more time on tests. They should have two teachers in a class, and then they got to have counseling. And even then, like I was what 23 at the time, 20, no, 21. And so I kind of still looked like them. They were city kids. I had a cool haircut and shit. So, and even then, with me being a cool, available therapist at this Manhattan school, other students were still the first responders. So other kids need to know how to take care of each other and themselves when adults fail them. You know what I mean? Right? Because like look at what happened with the US gymnastics things. How many of
Yeah.
those
That
minors
wasn't,
told
adults did not step in and did not believe those kids for 1 second. It took a bunch of little girls to
little
have
girl
the courage to finally speak up about a horrible, horrible thing that was happening to them.
preventable. So that's institutional betrayal, authority betrayal, and you wonder why people are disconnected and disillusioned. So there's so much that they could be learning in school that they don't have good references for how to communicate as adults either. So like literally one of my biggest things is adolescents getting therapy and self-discovery work because I struggled so much. Just
Yeah.
like you're saying, like I made good grades, I wanted to make my parents proud, but I was just different and no, and I didn't understand why. And it shouldn't be pathologized, it shouldn't have been diagnosed. Somebody could just talk to me and given me alternatives, and like about how I could feel aligned with how I felt on the inside.
I'm so sorry. Okay, Nanosphere had a question really quick, and we're going all the way back. We're jumping all the way around. But the question that she asked, I'm so sorry, Nano. Come back to this answer. But so you said that you would rather be what are the words that you used? But not competitive. Fuck, I can't remember the word you used.
Collaborative.
Collaborative, not competitive. So
Yes.
how have you found that has benefited you as you go through this process?
So the main thing I would say, like I said, I'm a gossip. So when I was coming up, I would talk to all my competitors. So again, one of my favorite such solutions out there is Open Path Collective. It's run by some hippies.
I love Open Path Collective. I've been trying to work with them forever. I'm like, please hire me. I will
I'd
I will
love
do
to
anything.
connect you. And so this is I actually learned. So this is take the bitter with the sweet. This was a lesson I learned the hard way. When I was coming up, I didn't understand what they were doing. They were doing like people who normally charge a lot will offer cheap sessions.
Yes.
And they were writing to my therapist directly when I was at Pretty Padded Room and being like, hey, do you want to work here? And I wrote this, I got all puffed up and like cocky, and I'm like, these are my corners, stay away from my hoes, like very like defensive. And he was like, no, I was just trying to do this thing and I didn't understand. But then regroup therapy, because I was on Shark Tank, right? So a couple people to reach out, or people were trying different things, so we started to talk. And then actually when the company died, because I had had so much media, if you googled online therapy, it was like on the first page. So like Talkspace and BetterHelp all reached out to me, and we just talked, right? Like it's frustrating for everybody, even when you have a lot of money, even when you have a lot of, I would meet with some of these companies, they had 10x the engineers I did, infinity x the funding, and some of them still hadn't made my numbers. It was just a struggle, like in the early years. So to me, I always had empathy for that. It would help me not feel so bad about my situation. I'm like, look, these people have money and like team, and like, I have my own gift. I would never, they all tried to hire me, and I was like, honestly, I would just wanted to do it my way. You know what I mean? And I do think that there's so many different kinds of people and so many different kinds of problem that I welcome lots of different kinds of solutions, so I'm never going to be a hater, like on, and even with like the stuff I'm saying about Woba, they seem very earnest and well-intentioned, $22 million they've raised though, and like it will not help a single soul. You know what I mean? Like it's really low attrition rates. That could have just gone to a community health agency. You know what I mean? Like just social workers that are literally like doing charity work. So I don't know. So yeah, like I've never been like jealous. And honestly, when I am jealous, it's like the highest compliment I can pay somebody. Like when I feel jealous, it makes me excited. Like, oh, okay, all right, you got
It's
me. So
competition. Yeah. So it's fine. It is, instead of you're describing jealousy as competition. Because if
yeah, like
for you to be jealous, you have to acknowledge that the other person must be competition for you to be jealous of them, right?
importantly, that's something that I want, right? Like Talkspace has had to have a whole bunch of legal battles. I know them. I know what they've been through. You know what I mean? And I know the kind of service that they have to deliver. I wouldn't want to be in that position, right? They're public now. They're gonna have to make Zuckerberg decisions. That will never be me. Like I want the difference to have a co-op principle where Black-owned, women-owned, and worker-owned. Like you can't do what I do. And I taught it when my company closed, because this is what happens if you're in business. If everybody's gonna start a business, something that happens is people will try to betray you. It's just something that happens. You get close to the top, so somebody you're close to, and it will hurt. Somebody you're close to will think that they should have what you have, and because they know just as much as you, and you make it look easy. This is just something that happens, right? And that happened with me in the last year. My last company had two of my highest performing therapists. They were like, we don't want this to die. We believe in you so much. Let's help. And they came in and they could figure out that we were dying, and like stole data, like literally stole all of our legal work, and created a replicable site, and then like told everybody not to use my site. And this was like on our last legs. Like they knew what I was going through. Like I hadn't paid rent for like the last year of my company. I paid payroll instead. So it was super painful. They copied exactly word for word. And one of them kept threatening that she had lawyers in her family. And I was like, girl, I'm good. Like, I'm glad I made it look easy. Watch what happens. I'm not even going to sue you. I'm not even going to hold you. Go ahead. And that's when I
Just
said,
do
I
it.
was
You
like,
think it's so easy, just do
go
it.
ahead. You copied my exact shit. You're writing to all my exact clients, all the press that I've gotten. They wrote to the people that I got them featured in, not knowing these are my friends. How do you think I got all this? So I just figured it out that day. I was like, you can steal the recipe, but you'll never have my sauce, period. Like, you can't do what I do. Like, the ideas that I have are like so specific, and I'm very committed to those ideas. So like, and like I said, there's some that I love. I love Headway. I love My Wellbeing. Shout out to Alyssa Petersell. I love Violet is so smart. He's a really fantastic founder. We all know each other, and like so far there's nobody that's like doing it the way I'm trying to do it. So I'm not tripping.
Do your thing.
Yeah. I
Oh my
only want to
God.
do my thing. I don't want to do,
And
like
do anybody else's. Yeah.
if Talkspace does what I do and like does it better and ethically, then I believe me, there's a whole bunch of other shit I could be doing, like I would do that. But yeah, I just really want to deliver on this dream that, was placed in my mind.
All right. So we have 2 minutes, and I know you have like a boatload of crap to do. So I cannot hold you even for a minute longer. So I want you to kind of deliver your final message. Like, what is most important to you? Because we went around the gambit. Like, we could clearly be doing this at least once a month. But so we went around the world and came back. So what is it that you want people to take away from this? Like, if they get nothing else, like, here's what I want you to know about your mental health and how much in your hands it is. And
Oh, yes. Okay, really quick. So, okay, thank you so much for everybody who's watching. If you have any questions, like hit me up on Twitter. I'm like easier to hit up there. But yes, your mental health is so important. Clinically, they would have you have a treatment plan, but even if you don't have something as serious as a treatment plan, you should definitely have goals for what you want out of therapy, right? Like this is a process that you're paying for, that you're investing in yourself. And so you should be different at the end of it. So like what in your mood or your circumstances or your environment could help you be. And this is again, if it's circumstantial anxiety or depression. If it's clinical anxiety or depression, take it seriously. There is no shame. This is all about, all mental health modalities are about feeling and functioning better. Like, why wouldn't you want that, right? These are mostly temporary experiences. And I also see, I see it a lot on TikTok. I love that TikTok. People really kind of like not overdiagnosing, but really identifying with
Yes, with
ADHD.
diagnoses, with pathologies. Yeah.
Yeah, and like somebody was like, "Oh, I'm reading a lot as a child was dissociative," and it's like, what? What if it was just about expanding your vocabulary and your imagination?
What if
Like
you just like really liked being in another place? Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's not a just not every you're not as crazy as you think you are, and you have more control over your mood than you know. And usually what people gives people stress. If you have anxiety, I like to say, just to simplify it, that it's usually related to uncertainty, right? Like your body, our
Super,
minds are
super, yeah, basics,
you
right.
know have our it used to be like if we had like an instinct, something was going to kill us. Like if I was a deer,
Right.
something on the corner, like I needed to be safe. And our minds haven't evolved to understand the difference between like a mean tweet and like somebody actually trying to kill us, right? So to that point, I love evolutionary psychology. Always trust your instincts. Humans are the only animals that don't trust their instincts. Like if a deer was eating, they would never be like, there's a lion, maybe I can change him, or maybe he's hungry. They would just move, bitch. Get out of the way. God be trying to bless you, and y'all want to question everything. Trust your instinct.
I'm out of here. I'm
No,
out of
for
here.
real.
I'm out. I'm done.
No, for real. When I was in the chair, people would pay me good money to tell me how to change, and they still wouldn't do it. Like, you deep down, you know the truth. Trust that. Spend time with yourself. Journal, voice notes. Get to know yourself. How are you going to know yourself? How are you going to grow yourself if you don't know yourself? So really invest in getting to know yourself. If you're gonna, it's great to have a thought partner with a therapist. Like with the difference, we make it easy to like match make, so you don't have to pay $200 to trauma dump every time. But also just really try not to judge your journey. As I mentioned, like I'm very open about my suicidal ideation. Because I'm a professional, I know that my body didn't really want to die, just my mind wanted the pain to stop. My mind wanted
Right.
those thoughts to stop. And that has kept me going. That's actually why I made the difference. I called the suicide hotline 4 times in the last year of Pretty Bad Room. And each time, most time it wasn't a licensed therapist. I didn't know who or what they were. But in 20 minutes, right? Like I could hear the temper. I could hear it was outside my body instead of consuming me inside. And I was like, damn, that shit is lit. So like everybody should have somebody to talk to on a bad day. Make a pact with your friends, that when you are feeling low, when it's getting a little bit too close to those kind of thoughts, that you'll reach out. And also it's really important to identify yourself, what makes you feel better when you feel bad. There's lots of coping mechanisms. Some are healthier than others. I love weed, but like it can definitely be misused, abused, and overused. And so yeah, so I really just say get to know yourself, get to know what works, and really get invest in community. One of the reasons that kids are so depressed even before Corona is in the last year, anxiety had gone up because we've had social media as a means of connecting, but it's connecting without intimacy, right? Like if you measured the stress in my body and the serotonin and stuff in my body from this conversation, it would still be high, but it would be even higher if you and I were face to face and we could touch. They've even said like 8 hugs a day is equivalent to like 50 milligrams of Zoloft.
Well, that's like the that goes into oxytocin and stuff too. And
Yes, the cuddle hormone,
yeah.
post-coitus, clarity, all of that. So there is a way to have preventative mental health care. Yes, of course, work out, go to sleep early, sleep with your phone outside the room and stuff like that. But we're really tribal animals, bro. Really try to connect with people and also outsmart your outrage. Don't spend too much time unless you're watching Mxiety. But for real, like Netflix is trying to like kill you. They even said, they were like, oh, our competition isn't Hulu. Our competition is HBO Max. Our competition is your friends and family.
Yeah, no,
Like,
no, no.
we
I've
want
heard
your
that. They're
eyes
like, yeah, literally, you not
all
wanting
the
to
time.
sit and watch
Yeah.
Netflix is the only problem with Netflix. Yeah.
Yes, they're coming for gaming too. So just really try to don't give your power away so easily. If you're young, you have more power than you think you are. You're prettier than you think you are. You're smarter than you think you are because you're so close to your instincts. So don't be scared by them. Really get to know them and only spend time with people who make you feel good and make you feel safe. And that's friendships too, not just romantic relationships. Boundaries are a beautiful thing. I don't know. That's all my things.
You have everything, man. Do I need to pay you? I'm not paying her, I swear. But she like gave us the deal. I like $1,000 richer just now. Thank
Anything for
you.
you.
Thank
Anything for
you, you
anything
magical
for you.
being. Thank you so much. BeArthurTherapy.com is where you can find more of Bea and her links out to all of her social media. Please, please, please go follow her and check her out. If you like the show, we're doing it again next week, so please be sure to, hit the follow button and all the notification buttons. I will be right back. Thank you so much, Bea. I appreciate you.
I love and follow me on Be the Sea.
Be the Sea, yes! Oh my gosh, Be the Sea on Twitch. You saw
I've had
she
to
was
follow
talking
her.
before. She was
Yeah,
talking before. Please, please, please go follow her because she's gonna take Twitch by storm. She's taking everything else by storm. Twitch is her next bitch. Watch. Yeah,
just for next.
yeah.
Girl, you're funny.
Yeah, should pay her. Gotta pay people who do emotional work in one way or another. That's true. That's very
It's
true.
my pleasure, honestly. Like
I love you so
I
much.
make money other ways. This is my favorite thing to talk about. Like I said, it's only 5% of what I do now. So it was a joy. I really sincerely hope it was helpful for y'all. And like however I can help, hit me up on Twitter, Insta, whatever. But yeah, and thank you, Marie, for doing the work you do. It's really appreciated,
I
truly.
love you so much. All right, everybody, we will be right back. Stick around.